precious vibrations and precious joy. All right. This is a deep one now. Don't worry, man. We're going to make up for the time. This is really deep. Do you know what we're going to talk about tonight?
June 13th, 2014. Scientists researching the Earth's mantle announce that they have found what they believe to be a vast body of water, 3 times the volume of all of our oceans combined, contained within a mineral layer 400 miles inside the Earth. The discovery shakes the foundation of what scientists and scholars thought they knew about the ground under our feet.
We have just scratched the surface of the Earth. We drilled down like 8 miles and we had to stop because it got too hot. Out of 4,000 miles, basically to the core of the Earth, we went down 8. That's nothing.
We have more than 70 active space programs right now. We can tell you more about the surface of the moon than we can the surface underneath our own oceans.
Since we have not actually drilled down far enough to confirm these findings, could it be that we may be wrong about the composition of our own Earth? Some ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that according to our earliest mythologies, an other Earth might not be found in the heavens, but deep within our own planet.
Now, before we go that far, hold on, bro. So let's be clear where we are thus far. So one of the things that this little piece began with, and this is a clip from the Ancient Aliens series that was a very big hit at the time. The hollow Earth really is where we are. And of course, we would have touched this subject sometime, may have been years ago, but of course, it's worth revisiting on another level, and nothing stays the same, and information is vast, so there's something else that you could add to it. So how this whole thing began here is them clearly showing you that, okay, basically the point is that we drilled just about 8 miles and we couldn't go anymore. Under the surface, we're finding like almost finding another sea. So if we haven't gone thus far, all of the mantle and the core and the crust stuff that we talk about, because I must say, we are some serious scientists. We could tell you the makeup of planets light years away, and stars tell you the makeup and how much percent. I'm telling you, we're very good, We're very good, but yet still we cannot clearly explain, according to one of these experts, what is at the bottom of the ocean. Paraphrase it, but basically that's what he's saying. 70 space programs taking place at the time of this recording here, but yet still we can't tell you what's going on the bottom of the surface of the Earth.
To the core of the Earth, we went down 8. That's nothing.
We have more than 70 active space programs right now. We can tell you more about the surface of the moon than we can the surface underneath our own oceans.
Since we have not actually drilled down far enough to confirm these findings, could it be that we may be wrong about the composition of our own Earth? Some ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that according to our earliest mythologies, an other Earth might not be found in the heavens, but deep within our own planet.
One of the most consistent themes that we find in ancient cultures when we travel around the world is the idea that there is another world, another Earth inside of the planet.
Within Buddhism, there's stories of a place called Agartha, or Agarthi, which is an inner world, and it's inhabited too by people, and that they are an advanced race, and even that they have trains and vehicles that are moving through this inner Earth.
Do you get that? So let's not move too far now. We're in the realms of Buddhism and we're talking about Agarthi. You know, you would hear ones, I've seen Brother Sanchez display a map that I think he considers to be from Tibet, somewhat linked to Buddhism too, that speaks about the flat earth. and not just the regular old flat earth that some people does be talking about now. This is like some advanced flat earth business where in the flat earth theory, there and no disrespect to the theory, because some people very, I would say, very religious about that. I mean, knowledge is knowledge, and flat earth and round earth is as far as the east is from the west, brother. But the twins still do meet on a globe surface. But the point I'm making is that reasoning is reasoning. No need for one to get fanatical. But what Brother Sanchez would be highlighting, or what I saw him highlight there, and I may have come across this somewhere, but it would have gone under my head or under my feet or whatever, because seeing him reason about it, it was sparking a new light in me concerning that knowledge there. So I'm thankful for that information I got from him. So he would show you that the ice sheet, or the ice wall, which we would call the South Pole, or from that theory, what we think is the South Pole, is actually the edge of the disk, really, the Earth. But it doesn't end there. There's another world behind that. And he's highlighting some ancient cave drawings that is highlighting that. Now, listen, not because, well, listen, I do not believe that the Earth is flat. I actually think that it is spherical, an oblate sphere. We already went through that geometrically, etc. But I'm just saying, though, in reality, though, not because something is ancient, and I say that about all cultures, not because it's actually ancient, mean that it's correct. People have their own ideas, even at that time. I'm sure at that time people were arguing if it was flat or round. And maybe these people just decided, hey, listen, I believe this is what it is. I done crossed the ice sheet. I went over the wall and I see a totally different land. And this other one said, well, listen, I went up into space and I look down and I see it round. Whatever. Or I calculate this movement and that movement, because we were not about trivial stuff. We dealt with the calculations of the heavens to get this thing figured out. Didn't Google it and listen to somebody and try to, vomit back out what they said. It was real science. So I'm saying all that now to come to this now. The same type of people, not talking about a flat earth, but an inner earth. Not that there can't be an inner earth in a flat earth. Flat earth don't mean it's a little pancake you're walking on. Obviously, it still would have to have a serious mass underneath it, obviously. So and layers of depths that you can still go 8 miles deep, obviously, not a biscuit you're on. So here these ones now speaking of an inner earth now. And it's of the same sort of tradition. Right. You see, that's what we do here. We open the mind. We don't come to argue with people over. We even speak of things that we don't fully check for, but especially if it's good reasoning. Man, I live to see the day that two real scholars debate that black earth, flat earth, round earth stuff. Yeah, because it's a very good debate. Very, 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 very good debate. Very good. Both sides have some heavy facts. But the circumpolar stars.
Another Earth inside of the planet.
Yeah.
Within Buddhism, there's stories of a place called Agartha, or Agarthi, which is an inner world. And it's inhabited, too, by people, and that they are an advanced race, and even that they have trains and vehicles that are moving through this inner Earth.
Is it possible that an other Earth can be located within the confines of our own planet? Historically, underground realms were not relegated to mere mythology. Well-respected scientists and mathematicians have long speculated about a theory that became known as Hollow Earth.
The scientist Edmund Halley is most famous for Halley's Comet. He was also very interested in the Earth, and one of the challenges was trying to figure out what was the real structure of the inside of the Earth. He had a fascinating theory of not just a hollow Earth, but an Earth with multiple layers.
75 years later, 18th century mathematician Leonhard Euler put forth his own hollow Earth theory with no concentric shells, and a sun at the center, spanning 600 miles.
Euler was a gifted mathematician. He developed this idea that the planet Earth is not only hollow, but the poles are actually thinned. And there are actually entrances into the inner core at the north and south poles of the Earth. He imagined that there were advanced civilizations living inside the planet.
Ideas of an occupied hollow Earth would be revisited nearly 2 centuries later, in 1947, when famous polar explorer Admiral Richard Byrd flew reconnaissance missions over the North Pole. Byrd allegedly reported in his private journal about a mysterious land beyond the North Pole, which he called the center of the great unknown.
Admiral Richard Byrd was able to fly to the North Pole and back and recorded flying over lush green areas where none should have been. And then 3 years later, he flew over the South Pole.
Okay, before we go too far with that, let us take in what we are taking in thus far. So we already reached to the theory now of the inner Earth. You hear about Admiral Byrd. Some of you, I'm sure, would have read the whole story about the same Admiral Byrd and what he saw when he flew over the North Pole. Okay, fair enough. Now, before Mr. Byrd, you have this theory that inside of the hollow Earth is a sun about what, 600 miles big, is it? Wide? 600 miles, but a big sun inside of the Earth. And there are entrances in the North and in the South Pole. A theory. I don't know if there's a proof, but this is what the European was thinking at the time. And you could enter through these portals or these tunnels, entranceways, and what you would meet is a brand new civilization, a higher civilization, a whole new civilization outside of the civilization you are accustomed to on this other side up here. So when you enter into this world, and you've seen it in many different movies and cartoons where you go through this whole, some of them are Vedic cartoons too, where you go through this place and you reach the earthly nirvana or Shangri-La and these places, this sacred land, basically by going through this tunnel or going behind this waterfall, and then all of a sudden you're somewhere else, passing through this cave, walking for hours or maybe days just to end up into this open space with its own sky and its own sun. How did that work?